Good morning again, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the third session of the financial statements portion of the Get Ahead 2026 series. Can you believe that it's already come to the third session? As most of you are aware, my name is Angela, and I'm the content owner for the IFRS and SME products, and my main role is to ensure compliance with those standards. With me in the call, as for the last session, is Ninka Kruger, and Ninka is the product manager of the same products and also responsible for consolidations and XBRL. Ninka will be taking you through consolidations and XBRL next week, so I'm sure you're all excited and going to attend that session again. With this being said, I'm just quickly going to switch off my camera and then we can continue. So again, by now I'm sure you're very aware of the housekeeping issues. So all of you are muted, or should be. Just somebody speak again, and if we hear you, then we know that we did something wrong with the muting. You can use the chat function to ask questions. If I do ask questions along the line, please pop the answers into the chat function. And then as always, if the signal is lost, you can just exit and re-enter again. Don't worry if you miss one or two items there, because the recording will be made available. So in the last two sessions, we got our engagement file ready and we learned how to import and re-import a trial balance. And we learned to map our trial balance, and we got started with the beginning part of our financial statements, where I took you through a bit of a tour of the financial statements. And we learned how to use Optimizer to optimize the content within the financial statements. And this week, we are going to now finally get into the formatting and editing of the financial statements. So in a moment, I'm going to call out last week's prize winners. So just hold on to your seats, that's coming. We're going to go through then, like I've said, the global formatting, the page-specific settings and formatting, general editing of financial statements. We're going to take a look at how the cash flow statement works, the super insert function, journal entries, and finally, we're going to print our financial statements. So it's quite a action-packed morning. I mean, where else would you rather be, right, than preparing a set of financial statements? Okay, let's keep going. So our winners, Mira Quinn Candy and Sindiswa Ndleku, congratulations, and marketing will be in touch with you for your prizes. Next up, just to take a look at where we are in the schedule. So for the financial statements track, you would have by now completed your e-learning. And I'm not going to go back to where the e-learning is, and you should already be just about done with it, if not completed. Then we did the first session was getting started with the engagement file, and we started drafting the set of financial statements, set 1 of 2. So today, we're still looking at drafting a set of financial statements, set 2 of 2. And next week, again, same time, same place, Ninka will be taking you through the consolidations and IXBRL. So, as always, there are resources for the session. You can scan the QR code. I'll give you a second to do that if you're going to make use of that function. Otherwise, I will just quickly, once again, take you to the place on the community. I'm just going to give one more second for anyone who wants to snap that code. Okay, perfect. So if you want to go and find on the community the resources, if you go again into success.casewareafrica.com, and you can click on the Get Ahead 2026. I will wait for anyone who's following this route. That's success.casewareafrica.com. And if you click the link for Get Ahead 2026, but by now this is old school stuff, and you can jump to the learner resources. We are the financial statement session, and it's session 3, even though it's session 2 of 2 financial statement drafting. And then you're going to click on the link for level 3 session resources, and that will download it. I'm just going to call up what it is, so the documents you're going to find in that pack are the company secretary certificate. This is a repeat of what you downloaded in session 1, but I've just, for ease of reference, I have put it in session 3 again. Then I've got, you will see a trial balance session 3. This is not anything you need to do anything with. It's only for those of you, if you feel that your file was too badly messed up, or maybe something went wrong with your mapping or your import, and you just want to get the completely mapped trial balance, because this one is fully mapped. Remember last week you still had to do some mapping. Then you can, during the break though, you can go ahead and re-import trial balance 3 to your get ahead file. And just remember to drop it into the same period as you dropped your previous trial balance, and to remember to click the clear periods which you are importing to. But that's only if you feel that you need to update your file. Please don't do it now. You can do that in the break. But everything that I'm doing with you, you can do on your files regardless. So you don't have to go and make that change. Your numbers will just be a bit different. Your balancing may not work, but it doesn't matter. You can still just follow me. Then I've got a logo for you and reconciliations. So please go ahead and download this pack. And don't worry about the backups. That's just my extra folder. Go ahead and download this pack and just save it somewhere on your computer, please. Right, let's get started with today's session then. So once you've got all of those documents together, I'm going to give you 1 more minute. And we're going to go and open Caseware. So if you're ready, you can go and open Caseware so long. Good. So I'm going to open my working papers, and we want to go to our Get Ahead 2026 file of last week. Okay, so I'm going to open that. Remember, it should be in your recent files. Otherwise, you can go browse for it in computer. And our very top secret login, SUP and SUP. And at this point, I would then like you to open up your financial statements. It does take a few moments to open a case view document the first time. There is quite a bit of content in. All right, fantastic. So if you're in your file, then what happens is it should open up with the balance check open. If your your trial balance imported properly, you should land up with a screen or numbers that look like mine. If not, don't worry about it. Just like I said, follow along with me, and you can try again in your own time. Or you can try re-import that trial balance during the break. So the first thing I want us to do is this balance check. I can toggle on and off by using the little robots. I'll just show you that. So you can close it and switch on again, just to see at any point in time, are your financial statements in balance. So let us take a look at these various components. So the first one tells us that our statement of financial position is out of balance. If this is a small number, like currently you can see mine is out by 3, that is just clearly a rounding difference. So we say generally, if it's less than 15, it's likely rounding. And then you can just go ahead and I'll show you how to fix the rounding issues. If it's more, like a big number, like look what the cash flow looks like, then there's something gone wrong in your trial balance or your import process, and you need to go and investigate that and fix your import. And then you try again. So what we've done here is we can see this is a rounding situation. So we're going to go ahead and fix the rounding. So what I want you to do, in order to fix the rounding, you're going to go to Document, Configuration, and Rounding. Okay, I'll do that again. So on the menu toolbar, you're going to go to Document, Configuration, and Rounding. And then the rounding dialog comes up. So what this type of rounding is literally just to get your rands and cents to whole numbers or whatever currency you're dealing with. So the first thing you need to do is select your rounding limit. So if you choose here, you'll see it doesn't allow for more than 15 anyway. So that's why we had said if your difference is less than 15, then it's probably a rounding issue. The best practice is to go and choose your rounding limit as the number just above your difference. So, and this is because this is a balance sheet rounding. So our difference is 3. So we're going to go and choose a limit of 4. And then we've got to decide, okay, where are we going to round it to? And our options are trade and other payables or trade and other receivables. So you can go and pick one of those to round to. Please pick an account that you actually use. Otherwise, you're going to land up with this obscure account that only has the 3 rounding difference in it. What I also want to mention is, if you remember when we did the optimizer last week, there were no trade payables and no trade receivables in the optimizer. And the reason for that is because these are 2 notes that always have to be in the file. They don't always have to be on. So you can turn them off so that they don't print and they're not available if you don't actually have these accounts, which is highly unlikely, but it's possible. But they always have to be in the account because of them being used for the rounding. So anyway, so now I'm going to quickly do something here, and I'm going to say, all right, okay. Now let's watch what happens to the statement of financial position balance. Absolutely nothing. Why? Because, and be careful of this, it's not a big deal, but if you wonder what happened, my rounding is broken. If I go back to the dialog, you actually have to select automatic rounding. So you must actually tell it to do the job. So although I chose 4 and trade payables, I didn't actually tell it to do the rounding. So if any of, well, I suppose you would have all followed me, but let's try it again then. And okay, and that should clear out. Perfect. So 1 has been dealt with, statement of financial position balances. That's always a good thing to see. We always feel happy when we see that. I imagine some of you are feeling a little bit, well, shaky at what the cash flow statement out of balance looks like. Or I suppose if you were on a real client, you might feel a bit shaky to see a difference like that. I'm going to just quickly go to the cash flow statement. You can follow me, just press on the CF for cash flow. It's a quick jump. The cash flow statement, when you first open your file, will always be out of balance. And the reason for that is because the cash flow balance pulls from a document called the cash flow worksheet, where all the calculations behind the scenes are done. And then that cash flow worksheet pulls through to here. So you can't actually, in the current year, you cannot actually type any amounts into the current year statements of cash flows. You have to do the work in the cash flow worksheet. And the reason we did that, and we didn't just do the calculations in the background and feed them through, is because we needed you to have the ability to document or to include the non-cash movements. Because many times, as I'll show you, a cash flow statement balances, but it's not correct because the non-cash movements haven't been removed. So, but we'll look at that in a moment. But the reason this is not in balance in the beginning is because our cash flow worksheet has not yet been activated. I just want to talk to the comparative period. We only do 1 cash flow worksheet in a Caseware file, and that's for the current year. It's not it doesn't obviously make sense to redo the cash flow worksheet from the previous year. So the consequence is that the prior year has got no worksheet to pull through from. That's only in the first year that you do the engagement. So for the first year, you will just type in the amounts in the yellow cells for the prior year by looking at your prior signed financial statements. And then after that, when you roll the file forward, all of the current year numbers will roll into the prior year going forward. So it's just that first period. Okay, so let's go ahead now. Are you ready? Are you with me? I'm assuming and hoping yes. What you're going to do is you're going to pick a refresh button, either the one on the balance check bar or at the cash flow worksheet, and it's going to cause the numbers from the cash flow worksheet to pull through to the cash flow and go. If it happens that this then immediately balances, it is a good feeling. And look at that. So all the numbers have pulled through from the cash flow worksheet, which we will look at later on. And as you can see, everything has been populated. But now you might be tempted to think, fantastic, the cash flow statement works. It's balancing, my work is done. Not so, because you're going to see as we go through the process that there are non-cash movements. Right, my prior year is still unbalanced because we're not going to go and type in those amounts today. Okay, then let's look at the next component. Remember, we're trying to look at the balance check. Now we've got the net income per the statement of comprehensive income. So we're talking about our net profit basically, does not agree with the net inc account. Okay, let's try and understand what they're talking about. If we go back to our caseware working papers, our little caseware icon, you can just click that. Remember our net profit there on the status bar. So it should be 903,131. That net profit, well, this is a calculated amount by caseware. It's based on your imported and mapped trial balance, and it's taken all the income statement items to get this amount. Remember that now, it's 903,131.50. If you go to the financial statement, so now you're going to click the case view icon. Go to the income statement on your quick jump, the IS. And then you can see the profit or loss for the year as per the financial statements. Now, this is coming up as 903,131, but our net inc was 131.50. So you see it's just a rounding issue again. So it's just out because of rounding. So that's not a tragedy. Similar, the opening retained income not matching the closing balance of the prior year. Out by one, it's rounding, and that's not a problem. Okay, so we're happy with our rounding of our balance sheet, or rather, and in fact, our entire rounding process. Now what we're going to do is I want you guys to change for me the level of rounding to thousands, because these numbers can get quite big. So let's say, nah, I don't want to show it so big. I don't want to show the figures in rand. I want to do it in thousands. So what you're going to do for that is we're going to go options on the menu toolbar. Okay? Options, rounding. Now this rounding is different. The previous rounding we did was to get our trial balance to fully balance with the rands and cents. But this type of rounding is a presentation rounding. So currently we're rounding to ones, and I want to ask you to change your rounding to thousands. So you're going to click on the thousands. And wherever you are standing in your financial statements, you would notice that it has moved to thousands. Just if you are in a notes or somewhere, just jump so that you're in the balance sheet, income statement, or cash flow so that you can nicely see the impact of this rounding. Okay. Next, I want to show, so we've got, it says in our heading, you can see it says figures in Rand 1,000 on our heading underneath our statement of financial position bar. So what we can do is, if you prefer to make it more visible for your client, you might want to put the thousands under the years. So we can do that as well. So let's go again, options, rounding, so it's the same place. And then remember, you ticked thousands, that's to get to the thousands rounding. And then you're just going to go display, and you're going to say, I want to show it beneath the year. So click on show beneath year. And now the thousands are under the year. So we're going to leave it like this. But did any of you notice there is a problem? Go and take a look at the balance check. So something has now happened here. My statement of cash flows is now out. The reason being, I need not go there. So what happened is that when I changed to by thousands, remember the cash flow worksheet is separate, a separate document, and it has to still refresh and catch up. So you will just refresh again. Sometimes you have to do it 2 or 3 times. Okay. Like I said, that if it doesn't work out full time, let's go actually into the cash flow worksheet. It will catch up eventually. It's because of the rounding. It needs to give itself time to work to the rounding in the worksheet. Okay, so you see what happened there. So when we actually, this is a cash flow worksheet, don't worry about how it works out. When I opened it, I allowed it to also convert to thousands. And if we go back into the financial statements, you'll see that we landed up back in balance. So that might be something quite useful for you, is as a trick to why your cash flow would jump out of balance if you do a rounding from a presentation perspective. Now it's possible that some of you have noticed that I have got my 2 currently open case view documents beside each other on separate tabs, whereas last week I had them as 2 separate case view instances almost, and I had to toggle between the 2. So I thought it might be quite nice to show you how you can change that, because it is very useful to be able to sometimes have your screen split, and you can't do it when they're separate tabs, although it's quite nice to jump between the tabs. That is certainly quick if you're just doing a jumping exercise. So I'm just going to show you how to split out your case view documents. So in either one, you will go to the case view ribbon, which is our ribbon here on top. So from within case view, go to tools. Okay, so the tools ribbon on the top of case view being our financial statements or our information store or our cash flow state worksheet. So when you're in tools, now you're going to go options, and you're going to go to the interface tab at the end, right? And then you see there's an option, enable multiple document windows. Please don't play with the other things. Enable multiple document windows, and if you click that and say okay, then it splits it out, and then you just need to enlarge it again or maximize it again. Then you land up with 2 separate tabs. Okay, so now I've got my financial statements in the one tab and my cash flow worksheet on the other. It could have been my information store if I'd used that. So why is this nice? Because when it's 2 separate tabs, remember, if I'm in my cash flow worksheet or whichever document, if I hold the window key in and I press, let's say, the right arrow, now I can see my cash flow worksheet on the right. And if I click on my financial statements, that will be then on the left beside it. So now I can see my 2 panes side by side. Okay, I'll show you again how to revert. It's just the opposite. Sorry, this thing is just in my way here. So again, that process, if I want to undo it and put them on tabs together, options, in the interface tab, and it's this enable multiple document windows. I'm going to click it off, and now they will stand side by side as 2 separate tabs. Okay, that was just something extra that I thought was quite useful to have as you go along in Caseware. Right, what are we going to do next? So now we've got our financial statements. We've rounded them, and we've rounded to thousands. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some formatting. So last week, sorry, let's make my screen look a bit better here. There we go. Last week I showed you, I'm just going to minimize the ribbon by the little arrow on the top. I showed you last week, or mentioned it, that when we do formatting of documents, we've got something like global formatting, and that would be here in this document menu. The formatting that happens here applies to the whole financial statement set. But we can also do section-specific or page-specific formatting. So remember I told you last week that a page is from the gray bar to the next gray bar in most cases. Sometimes a gray bar could be a mini section. So a better version of what is a page is if you click on your go-to, underneath the bookmark, there's a line, then everything beneath the line are basically your pages, right? So for example, I'm going to jump to the cover page now. So what I'm trying to say is if you do specific formatting for a page, like the cover page or the general information page or whatever page you're on, bearing in mind that page doesn't mean an A4 printed page, it's these sections or these sections between the gray bars. If you do that formatting and then you subsequently do the global formatting, it will override your section-specific formatting. So first do your global formatting and then do what you want to do on the individual sections. Okay, this is especially with regards to like your font and that type of thing. So let's go ahead, go to the document menu and go and click for me on format document. So this is going to be the whole document. I'm just going to take you through this a little bit quickly. So in general, so the first tab is going to tell us what our font type is, and then we're going to get a repeat of where our currency should be. So like beneath the year or next to the year, we've already dealt with that previously using our options tab. So some of these features are repeated in in quicker menus. The display zeros or millions or thousands or millions, we're rather going to keep that as no. It kind of defeats the purpose. So that's when currently, like we're showing rounded by thousands, but without the thousands. So they're saying, well, should we just add the zeros in? It just gets too difficult to see, but if you want to do it that way, you could. Then we've got our page, just the same kind of formatting for our page titles. For example, this is a page title, general information. Then your column headings, which should be like your balance sheet column headings with the dates. And then it's all your body formatting and so on. So you can just jump through these. So whenever you want to change, if you say you want your body text of throughout your financial statements, if you don't want it 9, you want it 10, this is where you're going to come to change it. And so it goes through how you would format the font and the size on your various tables. What I want us to do is to change the font type throughout the financial statements to Calibri. So we're going to go general, and then you're going to go ahead. I suppose you don't have to make yours Calibri. You can pick any kind of font that you would like, but I'm going to do that. So go ahead and pick a font and go and change your font. Don't click OK yet because we're still busy. Just go and say, I would like Calibri or whichever you like. Next up, we're going to change the page titles to uppercase. So I'm sure that you can see with me, where do you think on the menu you would go for, this is probably a silly question, but where would you go on the menu to change your page titles to uppercase? Can somebody type for me? Which tab should I click? I want to make all my page titles uppercase. Yeah, brilliant. So we're going to go, yes, it's all coming through. Thanks, you guys. We've got that. We're going to go page title. I just had to make sure that you're all still following me and awake this morning. Page title, brilliant. So what I want you to do is change it to uppercase. So you can, on the change case, you can go uppercase. Listen, again, if you want to make your font size a bit bigger, you can. If you would like to, you can change your bold to bold italic or whatever you want to do. I'm going to keep mine bold. And justification, I'm going to stick left. But if you feel like you would like your page titles, your general information, for example, to be to the right, you're welcome to go ahead and change that, or even if you want it center. Okay, So we're almost done with that. Don't click. I think I just want to see if we're done with that. Yes, so that's what we, no, not yet. Now we're going to do page column headings. So I think you're on the right track. Go and find your page column heading tab. Easy enough. Or selection. I don't know if tab is the right word. Now for our page column, so these are our date, you know, like our 2026 for current year, and our prior year dates and those kind of headings. You're going to go ahead and I want to make mine bold italic. Okay, so I'm going to change it to bold italic, and I'm happy with the size and the case. You can change yours as you wish. Okay, if you're happy up to here, go ahead and press OK. Now, and then give it a moment. You'll see in the bottom corner, it will be executing script. It needs a chance to think through what it's doing. And mine's gone a little bit wonky now. I think when I pressed OK again, I made it angry. But just give it a chance to run. Because it's got to go through the whole set of financial statements, this one takes a little bit longer than the individual sections changes. Perfect. I want to jump to the balance sheet to show you the impact. Right, do you see? So now our headings are uppercase. All our headings are uppercase, and our column headings are all bold italics. And I think that was basically a yes. And then our format is all changed to Calibri. I won't lie, I can't tell just by looking at it, but we're going to believe the system or trust the process. Okay, now there's something else that I want us to do. I'm going to open, you're welcome to follow me, and you might as well. A print preview quickly. And I'm not going to worry about the annotations. So I just clicked the little print preview on top. You don't have to do it with me. I just want to show you that at the bottom of our page, it's just got the page number currently. So what I want you to do is for you to be able to track your drafts as you print them, if you still do much printouts to scribble on. Us old school people like to print and scribble. Then you want to know when it was printed. So we want to include the date and time stamp in our footer. So in order to do that, you're going to go again, it's throughout the financial statement. So whenever something is throughout, you're going to go to document, and you're going to want to then go, we're going to put the date and time stamp in the footer. So now the first thing you see, I guess you're all wanting to go to format footer. I mean, it's the most logical place, right? But this is just the formatting of the footer. So in other words, what it looks like. So it's just giving you, again, your case, your font size, and your style. If you're like me, you can jump through them all and go, oh, it's the same thing. It literally just is the formatting of each of the rows in the footer. So that's not the one. So now we're stuck. How do we add the date and time if that footer format didn't give it to us? So back to document. So what are we doing? We want to configure the footer. So we're going to go into configuration in document. And there we see, there's a footer. And that's the footer that I want you to click, right? So it was document, configuration, footer. So go and click on there. And then this just shows you, okay, so if your footer is on, so far you want a page number and a line. And then we can say we want the current date and time as well. So you're going to click current date and time. If you wanted the client path, you could also include that, but it gets a bit long-winded. And then just from, this last part is just saying that after the detailed income statement, it's just a statement that it does not form part of the audited financial statements. You can turn that off as well if you don't want it. I think you could just go other and leave it blank. And this is literally just to help you if you've audited your financials and you do add the detailed balance sheet, income statement, that it's not part of it. Okay, go ahead and click OK. And look, while it says executing script, mine is now ready, but while it says executing script, it's still thinking. Now, if I go into that print preview, and I go and I show you the footer, there I've now got the date and time. And then I've at least got that to just review my versions. Right. I hope everybody's happy with that. You can close your print preview if you were in it. Now we're going to do long lines. So if you see, I'm going to go to my balance sheet. You can be wherever you want to be. You can notice that we've just got lines under our total short lines, but you might be a person who likes the line to go all the way across. So let's switch those on by going to Options and Long Lines. Difficult, eh? And voila, suddenly you've got long lines. But now you say to me, it's nice, but I don't like these gaps. What are those gaps there for? No, it's not broken. These are what we call spacer columns because, you know, you've got to try and please everybody. Because if you've got big, long numbers and you didn't use the display by thousands, then this number rolls into that number. So then everybody's upset because now why are the numbers on top of each other? So spacer columns were introduced so that you can see when this column ends and that one begins. But if you don't like it because you like they're just too far away from each other, no problem. Options, spacer columns, and you can just turn the spacer columns on or off. I'm going to leave mine on for now. I'll show you in a moment. Let's turn them off. And you turn your spacer columns off and it looks nice and pretty. But when you've got a long number, you really want to go Options, spacer columns, and turn them back on. But then you can also have what we call spacer lines to close the gaps. So spacer columns with spacer lines, and then it closes the full gap for you. Okay, did you get that? Options, spacer columns, and that's where you play around with your features. So you the columns are on, but also remember to switch on spacer lines if you want the solid line across. And again, the long lines were on long lines. If you want them off, then you click long lines off. And of course, what has happened, these two are no longer separated because we've got our spacer lines on. Right, let's keep it at long lines. And throughout the financial statements, it's on long lines. I didn't show you this. These just mean that we've applied rounding to the financial statements. When I get to that note, I'll show you it. No, let me do it now. Sorry. Remember, we rounded to trade and other payables. So I'm in my balance sheet. Sorry, so you know where I am. I've gone down to liabilities. And I just want to show you what happens when you do apply rounding. So trade and other payables, you see that there's no note on yet. So it's just when it came in the file. When you bring notes into the file through Optimizer, it's going to turn them on and then the note will appear. But trade and other payables was always in the note, but Caseware didn't just turn it on automatically for you because you need to decide if you want it on. So the way you're going to turn it on is you're going to stand on the trade and other payables line and now right click. Okay, so right click, and then you see jump to note. You jump to the note and it takes you to trade payables and it's off. So now you're going to stand again on trade and other payables on the heading, right click again and press on. And it turns a note on. All I wanted to show you is that it's got these little P numbers, and that just means that the rounding has been applied against there. So remember that rounding of 3 that we did? That went to these lines. Okay, next up. Now I want you to go back to one of the statements, balance sheet or whatever it is. Keep your fingers close to the chat function. I've got a question coming up. I want you to add the word restated to the prior period column. Can you tell me where you need to go to successfully add the word restated? Very much awake. I'm glad to see that. All right, where must we go? I'm not seeing any responses coming if we want to put the word restated in. Yes, okay, there they start coming through. So you're not going to do it in the financial statements. Correct. Thank you to all of you, fast and furious. The information's still correct. So let us go to the information store from our financial statements. You can go whichever way you want, but let us go to and information store. Click on info store, and it's going to open as another tab for me now because I have enabled that where it's not a separate window. And we're going to let it think through. When it opens, as soon as it opens the info store, tell me on which section in the info store I should go. There you see we've got the here on the side, our document map. Where in the document map are we going to go to put in, to change, to add that word restated into our prior column? I'll give you a chance. Maybe yours is still opening. Yes, column headings, Frank, well done. So column headings. And now we're going to go into where it says prior. Oh, this, I want to do my magic now. Oh, but now I can't. I'm not, it's going to take too long to change it out. Don't worry. I wanted to show it side by side, but it doesn't matter. Go into prior period, column headings, and go and select restated. And it's as easy as that. All right, you with me? So we were in the information store, column headings, prior period. So currently the prior period was blank. And you go and you click restated. Or you could do unaudited. And if you wanted to give your own words, you could say other. And I'm actually going to go that way just to show you, but I am going to just use the words restated, even though it was a drop down just to show you. I hope it's going to work, you know, technology. Okay, other restated. Then we go to our financial statements. And there is restated. And let's go to our income statement. So our prior period is restated. Super cool, that one, isn't it? Right, now let's see, where were we? We've added restated. Fantastic. I'm so glad that you were all with me from last week's or the week before's possibly even section on that. Now we've done our global formatting. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start from the beginning and we're going to start formatting through this thing. So go with me, if you will, to the cover page. So we're going to go to cover. And I just want to keep my ribbon open and available in case I need it. So what I just did there, for those who didn't catch me, this tiny little arrow next to the little question mark on the ribbon on the top right-hand side, tiny little arrow, I just click that and I hide or show my ribbon. Okay, now we're at the cover page. So what we've got here is we've got our logo. So we're going to think if we want that, followed by our company's name, Get Ahead Pty Limited. Then there's a formerly. So if you've got a former name, it goes in there. There's our registration number. We've got a trading as. And then it's the financial statements for the year ended Feb 2026. We've got prepared by P. Johnson, but okay, I wonder where that came from. I'm sure most of you know. We've got our auditor's details and the fact that it's audited and there's an issue date. Okay, so now we're going to do some things here on this cover page. I want us to say that our trading name, you see our trading as, that our trading name is the Fast Track. So again, I'm going to ask you the question, where must we go to add the word the Fast Track so we can put it in here? Any takers? Yes, again, information store. So we're going to go, we can just go click on our information store. And again, find the right place. It's going to be somewhere in the information store. Anyone know? General section. Yes. Okay, so let's go and say, so our trading name is, you can pick your own trading name, but I'm going to call mine, the Fast Track. Perfect. That's our trading name there. And I'm going to go back to my financial statements. Oh, that's cool. So it's trading as the Fast Track. Really nice. I also now want to show, so there's a few things we want to do. I want to show my prepared by, but I'm going to right click on it. It's not giving me an option to turn on. Normally, if I right click, like if I go down to another blue section, like can you see in the general information, if I stand there and right click, there's an on option. Okay. But I can't get it here. There's various reasons behind the coding that why it doesn't always have the right click on. If that's the case, then you must just think to yourself, okay, if I can't right click do the work, it must be in the settings and format specific to the cover. So bear that in mind. We'll deal with that now. Let's just see what else we want to deal with. We want to change the name to annual financial statement. So if I stand here, I'm going to see if I can change. So if I stand in the word, remember it's white and it shouldn't be editable. I'm going to now test myself and make sure there isn't a bug and try to change it to annual financial statement. So I'm typing in mine. See if you can get yours. So I'm standing in financial statements. I'm even going to the little bar on top and I'm trying to type annual financial statements. It won't let me. That's now a problem. Okay. Obviously, it won't because it needs to pull through everywhere. So we need to change this to annual financial statements, and we need this P. Johnson to show. And our manager wants these financial statements now, and you want to cry because you can't make these simple things work. Don't panic. It's actually easy. We're going to do that now. I just want to see what else. We're going to change a few sizings. So let's go straight ahead. Can anyone remember where we should go, Franco, not you, to, I'm just joking, you can answer if you need to. Where do you think we should go to access the settings and format dialog for the cover page? Anybody? And my first clue is that you should be somewhere in the cover page or standing on cover page. Okay, I'm getting a few answers coming in. A little bit more specific. Okay, let me give you this clue. It's somewhere on the toolbar. Where on the toolbar should I? Okay, so I'm going right. Okay, some right clicks, page set formats. Okay, yeah, so you can do like that. So let me show you the various options. On the gray bar, right click, and then there's settings and format. That's one option. I'm not going to click it because I just wanted to show you the way. Another option is to go page, because remember, these are pages. You can go page, settings and format. That's the other option. Or what's probably the easiest is when you're in the page you want, just click on the little green gear cog. Okay, settings and format. And just be careful, because if I was actually standing here at general information, then the general information page was going to open. So just once you've opened it, just make sure that you were standing correct. Yes, it's the cover dialog, so it's the right place. So let me just go and see what I wanted us to do. I've got a cheat sheet here, so just in case you're wondering. So let's go through this formatting dialog. They're more or less the same throughout, but there are a few nuances depending on where you are. So our first one, general, this gives us some cool things. Wrap after so many characters. So this is the name. So if you've got a really, really long entity name, then you can say you actually wanted to wrap at a certain point, and then it's set to 100 now. You must really have a long name for that, okay? Then it gives you the options for preparer details, publish date, level of assurance, and practitioner details to have these on or off on the financial statements. So has anybody had their aha moment, their light bulb moment? We want to show P. Johnson as the preparer. So you're going to go ahead and say, oh, okay, click preparer details on. And then when we're done, this should turn black, because remember, blue means it won't print and black means it will. Okay, so this is looking good. Then we go and we see what else we can see. Body text. It's just going to tell us the font size and style. So this is now just for our cover page. So you might say, you know what? For my cover page, I really want it to look really funky, and I'm going to go and use perhaps bold all throughout and a really big font. It's up to you. That'll be for the body text sections. And that will be different than the rest of the financial statements. But if you go and head into documents and you go and you format document, it's going to override these again. Okay, so then it just shows you a little bit. So the details of the report name. So this is quite interesting. So it says, so this is where you switch on things about the name of the report. So former entity name, do you want that on? If there is one, obviously. Registration number on, so you can see it's ticked, so there it is. Trading name on, we've got it on already, so we want to keep it. I might say, not that it matters, former entity name, because I didn't put one in. And you would have put that information in the information store, but this dialog is where you configure how you see the cover. Now the report name. Oh, look here, select. Here you can choose. Should we really, like, we could be even Afrikaans if we wanted Finansiële State. Okay, so now let me stick to what I can do. Annual financial statements, and you can pick, do you want it in mixed case? Do you want it in, what's that, sentence case? Or do you want your initial letters or capital? I'm going to go with that one. So go and pick your annual financial statements. And then also you're going to say here if you want the entity logo or not. So I want the entity logo, so I'm keeping it on. Then let's look a bit more. Regarding our, again, formatting now of our report name. So you saw the difference. It was the details, then the format. Now, for every component here on the cover page, it's telling us, do you want to put some spaces in? Do you want to change the case of that line? So this is a former entity name. What do you want it like? The registration number, how do you want it? And so it goes on the trading name, the report name, which is your the annual financial statements. And you go and you can adjust each one. So I'm looking at mine. I'm thinking to myself, yo, the name, the entity name, let's try to find a company name. To me, it's looking a bit small. I'd like it a bit bigger. So let's go and make that, what do you think, like 14 perhaps. Make yours how big you want it to be. So I'm going to make my name a bit bigger there. I'm happy with the case, but I want to make that bold. I want it nice and visible, right? So I've made my company name a 14. I'm happy with the sizing of everything else. I think maybe our trading name could be bold. What do you think? Or bold, italic, or bigger. If you want yours bigger, go ahead, go find trading name and go and adjust it how you would like it. So I'm just going to bold mine. I'm happy with the size. Then the next thing is, let's maybe play around with the sizing, the spacing a bit. I think that my company name is too close to the client logo. So I want to put some space in between it. So I'm going to go up to company name, space before, and I'm going to go and say, okay, I'd like 0.2, I'm going to go with 0.5, half a centimeter in front of company name. I would also like that space between the trading as name. So this one, I'm also going to put half a centimeter in. And perhaps before financial statements, it's also a little bit on top of the trading name. So the report name, that's the one that's financial statements. And I'm going to put a half centimeter there. And I think that's going to look super cool. So to go, when you're happy that you've adjusted yours as you want, you're going to click OK. And then let's see what the cover page looks like after that. You see how it's nicely spaced out, and all my fonts have changed as I wanted them. And of course, we now have our preparer information on the page. So that's really nice. Now what I want you to do is, now we're going to insert a logo. So remember, for me, you should have saved somewhere the documents for the session. We're going to import this logo 2026. I'm going to show you how to do it. So just make sure you've saved it to your machine somewhere, which you did just now. Just try to remember your path. So, and you had to keep the logo box clicked. Remember, in settings and format, we clicked on client logo appears. So now you stand on the existing logo and double click it for me so that it opens this picture object. I'll do it again. Stand on the picture, double click on it. It's currently pointing to your Caseware file. It's the standard logo. What you want to do is you want to go to Browse and go and find that logo for me. So mine is in session 3, and that's my cool logo 2026. And you can double click it, and don't go out of here yet. it's now previewed for us, but it's showing the path of where I've actually saved it to. And I don't want that to do that, because if I send this file to somebody else, the file path is going to break. So go ahead and click on Embed Picture in Documents so that it takes away the file path. And now we're going to resize our picture. And so you click on Resize. Keep aspect ratio is always a good idea, otherwise you're going to distort your picture. I would like you to make it the width 7. Okay, so go ahead and change your width to 7 centimeters and press and go ahead and click OK. And how cool does that look? And if you'd like, you can go and do quickly a print preview. And there is our cover page. So you can make it look really nice. You can add some more spaces between the bottom sections if you feel that two on top of each other. You would use the same process as we learned. Okay, we're going to do the general information section and possibly the index page, and then we will take a break. So go to general information. You can literally just scroll down. And now what I want you to do, so what the general information page is literally what it says. It's just information about your business containing like your addresses, who your bankers, secretaries, tax advisors are. There's option of who the preparer is, what the issue date was, and so on. A lot of this information, or actually this information basically pulls from your information store. So again, if you don't know how to change that, South Africa, you go to the information store. So if you don't want a general information page, you're going to stand on the bar, on the gray bar, stand on the bar, right click for me, and deselect. So click on to deselect it. And it just goes away. Okay, but let's turn it back on because we do want it. So right click on the bar and click on. Now all of these sections, so whenever you want something to show, first try to right click it. And if there's an on option, then go with the on option. If there is no on option, then it's probably, what have I done now? Oh, I don't have content. If there's no option for on, then you're going to do it through settings and format. So this is telling me it is on, but it's blue because there's no content. So I hadn't told, I think in my information store, now I want to just find nature of business. Now I'm not finding it. I'm going to wait. There it is, nature of business. Sorry. So under the legislative acts, I'm just going to put that in to show you. You might have done it last time. The company sells cars, and now that there's something to print, it will turn on. But if it, like our directors, if it already has content, but it's just hidden, now when I go and press directors on, right click on, there was content, so it pulls them through. It's only showing the directors that were in office at the date of sign off of audit report, remember? So if we go back to my information store, and if I go to directors, remember from the last sessions, if I scroll up, our audit report date was set for 31st of May. Both of the last two directors resigned before then. So on our general information page, it only shows us, and it tells us on the side what it'll do, it only shows us the directors in office when it was signed off. And that's why we only see the two. Okay, so what I want you to do is please go ahead and turn on directors if you didn't. Go and, to do that. Then I want you to, where you're standing, there's a secretary section. So I want you to use the find function. You could just scroll down, but I don't want you to do that. Go click on the little binoculars or press Control F. So the binoculars are on our home tab. Find, and then just go, so it should be find what should be text, set to text. Now you might be saying, oh, it would have been so much quicker to scroll down. You're 100% right in this case, but I want you to get used to the functions. So let's go and type in secretary, and hopefully I spell it right. Otherwise my find isn't going to work, is it? Find next. Oh, sure. My spelling is good. There it found it. So yes, you just literally had to do that. But nevertheless, you have now had a bit of experience with the find function. So now you're going to turn on secretary for me. And please go ahead and also turn on the company registration number. And all of this is coming from our information store. Cool. So I would like you to move the company registration number up to just after the country of incorporation and domicile. So I'm going to stand on it and I'm going to try to drag it up. No, it doesn't want to drag up. This is a problem now. What am I going to do? Okay, luckily, we thought of that, and there is a sort feature for you. So I'm going to show you the way that I don't like doing it, and I will explain why. But the first option to sort is you can go to Document, okay? Sort Sections. What section is it? It's the information page, because remember, we're doing general information. So if you go, let's do that again. You can jump through this with me. Document, Sort Sections, and the sections you're trying to sort is the information page. And what it does is it gives you, you can expand this if you'd like, it's not necessary. It gives you a list of only the sections that are currently on. So in other words, all the black lines that will print, you see, country, nature, directors, then holding. So it ignores all the blue. So if you go and you change the order in this manual sort, it's going to push all the blue items to the bottom. And then if you want to turn something on, and that's all out of order. So you can do it, nothing wrong with it, but it pushes all the blue stuff to the end and it keeps the black stuff on the top. So I'd rather cancel that. The way I prefer to do it is to stand on the general information page bar, or you could even go to page, and you're going to right click Sort Sections. So it brings up a very similar sort. Like I said, you can expand it. I'm going to just make it a smaller again. And now all the blue items are left in place. So it doesn't unsort your off items, if I can call it that. So now you're going to just go and scroll down in this box. I'm going to start again for those who didn't follow me. Stand on the general information bar, right click, Sort Sections. Now you're going to scroll down. You can use a little scroll bar, or you can just use your mouse to company registration number. So you're going to highlight company registration number and then go to the move up box and click, click, click until you get where you want to be. Still clicking, still clicking. And when you go too far, the move up stops, because else you're going to jump right out of the box. So now I've gone too far, so I'm going to move one down because I want company reg under country of incorporation. Difficult, wasn't it? If you messed everything up and you started pulling all sorts of things up and down around the place, there is a reset order button to put it back. But I'm happy with what I want. I'm going to click OK. And look at that, my company registration number is on top. Oh, incidentally, if you are at a point where you actually don't want all this blue, and you also don't want to be using your edit mode, remember, let me just show you what I mean. If you're in view and you turn off or you switch off the enable editing, so if you're just in review mode, you only see the black. But if you don't want to be in review mode, but you only want your on sections, I'll go back, turn on enable editing again, then you can use the first sort that I said. But it just throws things around too much for me. It's not I wouldn't use that way, but you're welcome to. Okay. Then the index, we are at 10:05. No, let me give you a break now until 10:15, and then we will continue with the index. Okay, so at 10:15, we will carry on. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you have grabbed your coffee or heated your cup from earlier. Let's get going again with our index. So you can just continue to scroll down, or you can go to index, or you could use the home document map and go jump to your index. Obviously, that's more if you're searching, if you would be searching for more complicated concepts. I noticed a few requests about the order of liquidity on the balance sheet. So I'm just going to throw the comment out there. Keep a lookout when IFRS 18 is released. IFRS 18 is effective years ending 2027. So thereafter, we're going to bring in a order of liquidity balance sheet to the IFRS. Okay, so just for those comments. Let us now continue on our index page. So our index, obviously, it just gives us the annual financial statements presented to the shareholder, and then it gives you the specific documents as an index does. And then again, we've got our level of assurance preparer and a published and a sign-off date. These items are going to be worked out, show or hide similar to our contents page. But I first want to ask you to do me a favor and just change shareholder to shareholders, because it is yellow, so you can stand in it and you can go and add an S. So you can add shareholders like that. So now it's showing you the red dot. Do you remember what the red dot means? It means it's overridden a formula. You can leave it there because don't change it back because it's a red dot. It's just an indication that you've changed an underlying calculation. It won't print with the red dot unless you specifically ask it to. But a better way, because throughout the financial statements, whenever there's reference to shareholder, you're going to have to rewrite it in. So the better way is to just right click and click on overridden to revert it, so the red dot goes away. In your information store, again, information store, general information, and there it says, is it shareholder, holders, own, and how do you describe the owners? So you would do shareholders, and you'll do a similar thing for directors. If you click on directors, however you want it to refer to, do you want it to refer to the board, the directors, or the board of directors? This is the place you're going to make that change, and it'll pull through. So everywhere in the financial statements where you see shareholder in yellow, or it will, if it's a different entity type, it'll change that to the type of owners. It will present, and the same with the board of directors. Everywhere it refers to the directors, it will have that setting as board of directors or board or directors, whatever you chose. Okay, that was just a small one. So now I want you to turn off. So go to the bottom, and I don't want the preparer details here. So they're currently off, but let's just see if we right click, turn them on. So this is an option for, okay, well, this part of preparer. This is actually a bit of a duplication, so don't worry about that one. Here are our preparer details. Let's try turn that off because I've got it on the front cover. I don't want it here as well. So I'm going to right click, and there's an option for turning it off here. So I can just turn it off here then. So it's when you don't see the option, then you're going to try going through the settings and format. Now I want you to change the name. And I'm not going to show you how, but I don't want this to be the index. I want this to be contents. So I'd like to see if you can change it to contents. And if you can, tell me where, just go and try and change it, and then type in the chat how you changed index to contents, just briefly. Okay, we've got a right-click properties. Okay, that's an option. But I want a better way to change the titles of sections. But yes, right-click properties. Remember, we also did it in the, did I show you that? I feel like I feel like I'm maybe being unfair. I don't think I showed you. Okay, I'm going to give you the, go to settings and format. So this is normally if you want to change a statement name, I'll test you on it just now. So yes, you could have right-click properties, or if you go to the dialog in wording preferences, then there you'll change to contents. Okay. And okay, I think that's all that I've got a question that I want to answer quickly. And then you can change it to contents. But yes, you could have also done the right-click properties. So a question that came through was, if I don't like any of the options on board of directors, I'm going to have to, it looks like those are the options now. I'll have to get back to you on another way of that. Perhaps one of the team can assist with that. I thought there was a option to write in a different alternative. But at this point, those are what we've got. Right, on our contents page, let's just see what else I wanted you to do here. Turn the level of assurance off now. Okay, so let's go see, so still on the index page. And our level of assurance, so these annual financial statements have been audited in compliance with the Companies Act. I don't want this here. So what I can do is I can try the right click on, I can do it like that. Or I should have also within settings and format, if I want it gone, I can actually click the level of assurance and it should, then it actually disappears. So if I don't even want it here, then I can do it that way. Okay, those are just small things. They're not such a big deal there. Let's go to director's responsibility and approval. So with all of these now, all I'm trying to, I just want to go through like the types of reports and what the general editing rules are here now. So there's various reports. You'll just switch them on or off if you want them or not. So you know how to turn this director's responsibilities and approval off. If you don't want it, you're going to right click on to turn it off. So now you start to see what you're going to see throughout the financial statements. You're going to often come across radio buttons and they just give you your options. So and the option normally follows. So currently it says this report will be included or you'll insert an image of the report. So if you want the default text or the default report, you click the first button. If you want to insert an image, then this is what you'll end up with. And I'll show you how to insert an image just now, but we want to use the report. So keep the first button clicked. Okay. Then you've got all your yellow text, which remember is calculated. And that all pulls through from somewhere, but you can type over it. It's going to give you the red dot. All your green text is normal, perfectly editable text. You can stand behind at any point and you can just keep typing within the green. Okay. So what I want you to do is the first thing I'd like you to do is use the first drop down to change to your desired wording for the IFRS, whichever types of IFRS you're using. So I like the layout that looks like IFRS for SME with the little trademark accounting standard. So I'm going to change mine to that. And it should pull through from there throughout. And then, yes, there's not really much else that I want to show you here at this point. What I want you to see is that there's a signature area at the end and only one director can sign. So what I want us to do here is to make a space for two directors to sign. And then you're going to select the two directors. And I want the signature area on. So it's currently blue. So if I right click, now I don't have a way to turn on the signature area. You with me? So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to settings and format. And now I'm going to look for something that's going to let me have an extra director. What do you think I should select here? Yes, directors' names. Good one. Thank you. So go to directors' names. And now you can pick how many directors you want to sign. So go ahead and sign 2 or pick 2. You can have signature lines on or off. I'd like the line so they know where to put the signature. And you can put a bit of spacing as well between them if you'd like. Now, the next thing is can you see a place where you think, yes, thank you to all of you who have responded directors' names, correct. Now I want you to tell me, what will I click on if I want to switch on that signature area? What I mean is I want all of these place of signature with the address to go black and not be blue. And the right click on wasn't available here. Remember I said sometimes for whatever programming reasons, it can't work that way. Then we go and we look in our settings and format. Where are we going to turn on the signature area in settings and format, do you think? I think I gave it away. I'm waiting to see if there's anyone, any takers, going, nothing coming through yet. Signature area, thank you, Tatu. Signature area, and we're going to switch it on. And then that should be that. Go ahead and click OK. And then you would be able to go and put your director's signature area in here. Okay, then you can go ahead and select your directors, and you can go and pick 2 directors to sign off. Cool, so that's a load of fun. Let's see what's next. Now we're going to move down to and if you want your internal financial controls, you can switch those on. Please go and turn on the company secretary certification report. I want you to try it yourself first. So here is mine. Okay, cool. So right click on, I'm sure you all did that. In the SME, this report is very blank because you can go and make it as you would like it to be. In most cases, you'd probably insert an image. In the IFRS template, there's more available there. It just depends what template you're in, what your default report looks like. But you can go ahead and use this blank report, or what you can do is you can insert an image of the report. So this insert image, let's go and do that. And it's the same principle for all the images that wherever you want to insert an image. Okay, so what you're going to do is, first of all, the little picture is for a single image. So that would be per single page. So if your company secretary certification, for whatever reason, is 2 pages, then you're going to add another image. Okay, and if you accidentally add too many, there's a little button underneath that says remove last image. So we can go, okay, no, and it takes the last one away. And again, I only want 1. So just have for me, you can go and add an image and then remove the image if you want to play around with that feature. And then when you're ready, you should be fine now, or you should have already experimented a bit. Now you're going to actually double click on the image again, almost like inserting the logo. So click the image on, and it looks just like that logo. So in our handouts, it's the company secretary certificate. Okay, I didn't make it pretty, but it's going to have a nice letterhead and signature and all those things. Okay, just imagine that it does have it. So now you're going to go for me, browse, and go and grab your where you saved it to. So mine was saved in my session 3. It's my company secretary certificate. So I'm going to double click that to bring it in. Again, I don't want to keep the path, so I'm going to embed the image in my document. Happy? And now I'm going to tell you that you should try and keep the width not more than 17. Otherwise, you're going to have printing issues. Okay, that's 1:7. So you're going to want to adjust the width, but remember to keep your aspect ratio. Otherwise, you're going to distort. So I'm going to keep aspect ratio, and I'm going to adjust this to 17. You can just type 17 in as well. And it automatically adjusts the other side. Okay, I'm going to show you now this part. Say show picture while viewing document and press OK. So if I go and I do my print preview, obviously I'm going to have the nice, like I said, letterhead and all. I literally just did a quick company certification for you without the frills. Still thinking, because it's executing script. So if you think nothing's happening, just have a look on your status bar. Saw a flash. How are yours coming along? Is yours? There we go. Thank you. So now this is what we have. So you see we've got our previous page, director's responsibility, and then we've got our company secretary certification, which would obviously be on its letterhead. And then you would just have that include the correct page number if you want to show the page number, and then the financials go on. I've opened the print preview for a reason. I'm just going to close it again. I want to show you something. Now, if you inserted a document, it could also take quite a bit of space. This is obviously tiny, but another report could take quite a bit of space. So what you can do, stand on your image, just go and find your image and double click it to bring this menu back up, or this dialog back up. Then tell it, unclick, show picture while reviewing documents. And then press OK. And then when you're reviewing, you're not going to see the actual picture that's in here. But if you print preview it, you should still see the actual image. Okay. So it's just to save space, you can turn the image off like that. Happy? I hope that everyone is happy. Then let's see. Now we're going to move on to the director's report. And you can do the same thing here. Again, you can either insert an image of the report or you can use the default. And the director's report, you'll start to see that everything, all the features look very much the same. So anything gray, I don't think I've mentioned this, anything gray would house either your radio buttons or it would be guidance at points, but gray blocks never print. Okay, so you look past them to what you're actually going to see. Again, everywhere you see green, it's just your normal text. And any blue sections, you're just going to right-click on to open them up. Okay, so what I want you to do is switch on the incorporation section, please. Okay, I'll give you a second to try to do it yourself. You see the little heading incorporation? Okay, so we're going to right-click the heading and switch it on. And now you see that there are two paragraphs. So you're going to work through and you're going to read. And if you like the paragraph, you're going to turn it on. If you don't, you'll turn it off. You can write your own text and turn all of the suggested text off if you want. It's totally up to you. So you'll notice that the second paragraph is not on. So what you would do is literally just right-click and switch it on. So what I'd like to show you is if you want more space to write, so if you want a little bit more space here at the end and you want to go down a paragraph, you're going to press Shift and Enter. Okay, and you can Shift Enter again if you want it on another line. So let's just add, I'm just going to say add, so it's new text. This is just what I've written in, right? You can do it that way, but what I want to show you what happens, and then is if I decide I want to turn off the top paragraph and I right-click on, do you see that my Shift Enter paragraph is linked to the properties of the previous paragraph? So now that's going to, now my new text, if I didn't want the old text and I wanted the new, I can't because it's all going to turn on. So I'd actually have to delete that. So a better way to add text, if you're at the end of the document, I'm going to just backspace here to get rid of what I did. Okay, is to, I just want to show you how to insert a paragraph now quickly. It's part of the super insert function. So I'm standing at the end of my section and I click the little green plus and I go, paragraph, I want another paragraph and I want it to be a text paragraph. I could have done bullets if I wanted. Text paragraph, and I'm going to put it below because I want it at the end of the note. So I press below and it's going to add, it normally just jumps down, so just scroll back up again. So now it's added me one additional text line, and because I only wanted a single text section. But the beauty of this is that I can turn it on and off independently of the other sections, okay? If you're in between, if you just want to add more text on, I would say add additional text. But if you're in the middle of a space, like if I wanted it between the two existing paragraphs, then I'm going to have to use my Shift Enter feature, because I can't, if I insert it here, it's going to land up at the bottom of the section. Okay, so I just wanted you to be aware of how a better way to include extra text. I think that's all I wanted you to do just here. Cool. Now we're going to go to, within the director's report, our various sections. So each heading is labeled. I want us to go down to the directors section. You can scroll, or you can use your binoculars to find it. So I'm going to quickly do that. It's set to text, directors. I'm just going to try with the word director, see if it finds it for me. And perfect. So there's all these section options that you can turn on, and you can go and have a look at. And here's the directors section that I want you to be in. And now we're going to get all of our directors that were in office, even those that resigned. So what I'd like you to do is to turn off the nationality column. So this is a typical feature of columns when it's allowed in the structure of the table, is if you want to turn a column off. So let's take nationality, stand on the column and right click and then go to column. And then it gives you option always print. So in other words, so if you press always print, it's always going to print even if there's nothing in it. Or you can say always hide. So it will then hide even if something's in there. So the standard way that the tables work is that only if there is content, it will turn from blue to black, usually. So this is just an override of that. So although there's content in here, we've said South Africa, we want it to hide. Okay. And you can hide your changes if you'd like as well. So I'm going to say, I don't want to see the changes here. I'm going to type the changes in the bottom. Then you could also hide that section if you wanted to. Then you can go ahead and you can select the office and the designation of your various parties. So we've got a chairperson, and let's say we've got a chief executive, and then you can just play around with that and change their designations using the drop downs. Okay, and then you use your radio buttons to see there were no changes during the year, but that's not true because we had 2 resignations. So we'd say there were changes during the year, and then you would explain the changes. You don't have to use what's here. It's actually better if you can use your own so that it's not too generic. But I mean, if it's telling you literally what happened and you can just, with a few clicks, add the specifics in, then use the text that is available to you. Okay. I just want to say, Ninka, if there should be anything, I'm not watching the chat. If there should be something like that I really need to jump into, please feel free to interrupt me as we go along. Okay, but I'm going to carry on. Cool. With our director's report, what else here? We have done a little bit of a... Now we're going to go to the property, plant and equipment section. So there it is, property, plant and equipment. Turn that on. So see what else I can show you here. I want to show you a, can I call it a numeric cell in text? So here's an example. Remember, it's rounded now to thousands. We've got a section, so it's giving us a rand amount. So you can see the rand is a different cell and then the actual number. So in your information store, if you change your currency to, let's say, US dollars, this is going to change to a dollar sign. Okay. What is also happens is that when you roll forward your file, this amount will roll into the bracketed section behind it. Okay. But you can edit these cells. So in our next paragraph here, the company has commitments. You can go and type in, you're going to just stay on the little part, and you can go and type in whatever your capital commitments are. Okay. And for the prior year, you would also put in whatever they were. I'm putting it in thousands. Okay. Then when you roll forward the file, the 2,000 will replace the 1,500, but you will have to type in the new amount for the current year. Okay. This is what I didn't mention is, remember when we set to print display by thousands earlier on, you should make that decision in the beginning and try to stick to that decision, because can you imagine if you didn't round to thousands and you went through all your text sections and you went and you typed everything in, not in thousands, or sorry, displaying thousands, so like this should be 2 million, or whichever way you want to display it. When you convert to thousands, only the automatic numbers are going to also convert to the thousands. So you don't want to change that throughout the process. It's just going to make extra work for you. Okay. What else can I do here? I just want to show you something in the going concern section. If you turn it on, there is a paragraph in the middle that is set to blue. And it says, we draw attention to the fact that the company has accumulated losses. So I know it's not an accumulated loss, it's positive here. So it's blue for if it should be a loss, then you're going to go and turn this paragraph on. Okay. But obviously you always read your content, turn on what's relevant and turn off what's not. And I think we're good with this. There's a director sign off. It's exactly the same way. You would click on your settings and format, and just so that you can remember the same thing, director's report. And there again is the director's names. And you can again pick how many directors you want to sign. So that works the same in the places where there are director signature possibilities. Okay. With that said, I'm going to jump past the auditor's report. You could also include an image if you wanted to insert an image. I'm going to go to the balance sheet. And now on the balance sheet, so this is where I actually should have asked the question. I was unfair before. And I want to change the name. Okay, so you were quite correct with your index. But now I want you to change the name of the balance sheet of the statement of financial position to balance sheet, please. So now I'm going to ask and have a look in the chat. Where should I go to change the name to balance sheet? Because if you look, I can't now right-click properties. And the reason is not because the guys are being difficult. It's got to do with the development in the back. Thank you. We've got an answer coming through there. Some answers. Green cog. Yes, let's go for it. Green cog. Make sure you're in the statement of financial position. And wording preferences. Correct. Thank you. And now we're going to change that to balance sheet. And if you wanted something else, then you would give it another name. I'm going to make a balance sheet. And okay. And you'll see these ones change quite quickly, right? Because it's just changing a small section. It's not a global formatting. I wanted to ask you to allow for 2 directors to sign the balance sheet. Maybe for yours, let's just go to the bottom of the balance sheet, because you may be like, what are you talking about? Why do the directors sign the balance sheet? In some regions, it is required that, scrolling forever to get to the bottom of this thing. In some regions, the sign off on the balance sheet is required. So you see there's a narration area in blue. If you click the arrow, it opens it up. So why is this not a right click on? Is because you don't want the heading narration area to actually print. So look, when I click it open, you see it stays blue, but now we've got the text. If your region or you specifically want the director's signatures, then you're going to just turn that on. And the same thing again. You're going to go to your cog and directors, and you're going to turn to directors' names. So I think once you've practiced it once or twice, it should be quite easy to find and do. Okay, let's go look at our balance sheet a little bit here. So while you can't outright at this point have liquidity basis throughout, you can, as I'll show you in a bit, actually change the order of the line items that are presented, for example, within non-current and within current. And that should give you, in essence, a form of liquidity as well. But what I want to first show you is, let us do a print preview again, because I want to frustrate my machine. Oh, it gave it to me quickly that time. These are lead sheets, numbers are printing. So if we don't want to print those, and you should know this from previously, we should be able to turn them off. Can anyone remember how to turn off the lead sheet that it doesn't print, or the lead sheet references don't print. Options, yes. And lead sheets. Thank you. So now they won't print. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll ask you whenever I don't know where to go. I'm just joking. Okay. Let's see what else we need to do here. So I would like you to change for us. Okay, and sorry, I just want to tell you these are just the links to your notes. I don't want this to be property, plant, and equipment. I would like this to be property and equipment. So when you're going to change a name, your first case effort is to stand on the line and right-click properties, which is exactly what you were saying with the index page. So start there normally. So let's go properties on the word you want to change. And there should be an option in the middle which says other. And you see it's the name is grayed out. If you click other, it gives you the opportunity to change the name. So I just want this to be property and equipment. So go ahead and make that change for us, and careful not to make a spelling mistake. When you're happy with that change, you're going to click on OK. Oh, I made a mess. Property equipment, really. And is that better? Okay. Property and equipment. Now, there are various ways that the financial statements link to other places in the financial statements. Sometimes the wording pulls directly from mapping, and sometimes it pulls from balance sheet. So what am I talking about? So here we've changed the name property and equipment, but I'm going to go ask you to jump to the note, okay? And in the note, can you see that it's changed? Property, plant, and equipment has consistently changed to property and equipment. And that is because the rest of the references to it, to this heading, pulled from the balance sheet. And you can easily test that the way I did. But it's not always the case. So what I want to ask you to do is let us say that we want to change the word land. So now land is a subset of property and equipment. Let us change land to property. So go ahead and change it to property the same way in our summary table. So we're going to right-click properties, click the other box and change the word land to property. And then go ahead and click OK. Right. Now, do you see, though, in the tables which follow, which are our reconciliation tables, it still says land. So now you must go, and everywhere else that it refers to land, it still refers to land. So in these individual tables here, because this isn't a balance sheet name, this was pulling through from mapping. So now what we want to do is we say, okay, let's change the name in mapping so that everywhere it's applicable, it's going to pull through the same way. Okay. And you could have changed the property and equipment in the same way, but in this case, it was easier to start off with the right-click rename. But here we see it doesn't pull through, and we really want this to be called something else. So what we do is we're going to go find land in mapping. So we're going to go to our caseware. Okay, click on your caseware icon. We're going to go to the assign mapping screen. Where's our assign mapping screen? Anybody? Yes, account. Thank you for that. And then we're going to assign mappings. And now we're going to go and hunt for that land item. So we can say it's in the balance sheet. It's in assets. Correct. Yes, was account ribbon. In non-current assets. It's in property, plant, and equipment. Property, plant, and equipment cost. So we'll go to the first option. And you see our land. There it is. Now you're going to stand on your instance of land and right-click land. And now you're going to go to properties here. Now you've just got to be careful. So don't make too much of, don't play around with this. It's if you need it. Now you're going to go to the name land. Don't mess anything else up here. Don't change numbers or anything. And go and change the word land to property. Okay. When you've changed it to property or whatever you want it to be called, you might even want to change it to land and buildings if you've decided you want land and buildings to be mapped to all of it to the land account. I'm just calling it property because that's how we've done our example. And then I'm just going to select it and Control C to copy. And then you see the little plus next to it. So you're going to click on the plus. And now, do you notice land, and then the Afrikaans versions? We're just going to do the English. In between each instance of land, do you see the pipe or the line? Keep that line there. Do not override it. And go and paste property over land in both instances, okay? Making sure to keep the pipeline there. Then you're going to click on OK and OK again. And you see it's changed to property. And now you can apply and OK to get out of assigned mappings. And let's go back to our financial statements. And you'll see that it's changed in the recon tables as well. Okay, so that's how you can go ahead. So I think a very nice example would have been if you just show your land and buildings together, if that's the way that you do present it. Right, what was next? Back to the balance sheet, because we're not actually doing the PPE note. Sorry, we were doing the balance sheet. I want to show you now how to change the order of the line items on the balance sheet. So how this kind of sort works is the balance sheet is made of multiple tables. So you're not going to be able to go right-click and sort sections because it's grayed out, because it's the tables are individual. So now you're going to stand in your section that you want to change, and I want to bring intangible assets to be before property, plant, and equipment. So somewhere in my table, I will just right-click, and now I'm going to go to row because I'm dealing with table rows. So what about rows? You see, I've got a few sort options. I can sort rows, or I can sort ascending or descending. So these two are going to be alphabetical. But if you choose an ascending or descending, you're not going to get your desired result. And also, the heading, non-current assets, will land up in the sort. Okay, so for this type of table, a ascending, descending isn't going to be appropriate. You might have a different table, perhaps a table with directors' names. You would do the same type of sort, and there you might say I want it alphabetical. Okay, so it just depends on the nature. So let's go sort rows, and it's going to pop up a manual sort function, and you've seen this before. Now stand on intangible assets and go and move up. Click, move up, click, 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 until it is in front of property, plant, and equipment, and click OK. And there it did the move for us. So if you wanted to get some kind of a liquidity basis in here, you could do it with that within the non-current current section. Then what I want you to next to do is, do you notice now, I'm hoping that all of you are irritated by 3, 2, 4, because that just bothers me. I can't deal with that. So now we see, oh dear, the notes are not sorted. So let us just go and check that out and jump to a note. So my intangible assets note is first. Oh, sorry, I'm lying. So my intangible assets note is after my PP&E note, but that's not in the correct order. So it's first property, plant, equipment, then intangibles. I don't want it like that. I want it to be the same order as the balance sheet. So I'm going to go sort sections. So I'm going to stand on the section heading, but I just want to show you, this looks like a page heading. Everything's grayed out. This is just a mini section. It's not a real section. Actual notes to the financial statement is the page. Let's go to, see there, notes to the financial statements. That is the full page that it belongs to. Here you will stand, right-click, sort sections. Just again, you could have gone documents, sort sections, notes to financial statements. But this is the one that only shows you the notes that are on. So again, if you sort here, all the blue notes, the notes which are off, are going to sort to the end. So again, I'm not a fan of doing it that way, so I'll rather not use it. Right-click on the bar for notes to financial statements, sort sections, and now it gives you all the on and off notes. Okay, so you can see they're all the off ones at the back. So now what I want to do, I want to take my intangible assets and I want to move it up to above property, plant, and equipment. So the same thing, just click, 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 click until you get to where you want to go, and it's above PPE or property and equipment. Press OK. And I have changed my notes. You can go back to the balance sheet, and my notes are in the right order. And you'll do the same with the accounting policies. We'll do that in a moment. Okay, It looks like I need to start hurrying up a little bit here. We've sorted the balance sheet, and then what you can do is wherever you see a balance sheet account that doesn't have a note on, I will just page down. You see trade and other receivables, it's not switched on. I showed you it earlier. You're just going to right click, jump to note, and then you will stand on the note and turn it on if you want it on. Okay. Next, we're going to go to the income statement or statement of comprehensive income. So jump with me on the IS. How it currently looks is we've got, at this point, we've got our income statement section, revenue to profit or loss for the year. And then we've got other comprehensive income section that follows. So we call this the single statement approach, where you've got your income statement part and then your OCR part that follows. And then you'll see here that I'm going to just quickly turn off enable editing so that you can just see what it would look like if you printed. Do you see I've got profit for the year, and then I've got other comprehensive income, the line showing, although I have no other comprehensive income, as zeros, and then I get my total comprehensive income. So it just depends what you want to do, and also there are certain compliance requirements. Just make sure that you do comply, but you are allowed to not show the zero and just end at profit loss for the year. And then you want to show total comprehensive income or loss for the year at that line. That is a possibility. I'm going to show you how to accomplish it. I'm going to switch back to enable editing. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to my cog because it's a specific to the income statement. All right, and then just here it gives you a single statement or two statement options. And then you can also have a statement of income and retained earnings if you're in SME, body corporate income statement if you are in a body corporate, or you could replace with a detailed income statement. I'm not going to demonstrate those. You can play around with them. But this is what I want to show you. In the single statement approach, do you want, it says your option is print other comprehensive income even if zero. So that's what I've showed you. If you don't want to print it, so you say, no, I don't even want to see the other comprehensive income zero, then we're going to say don't print it. But then the question is, well, what do you want the wording to say here? Do you want it to say profit or loss? Or do you want it to say total comprehensive income or loss? And so if we change it to total comprehensive income, then it's going to change the view there, okay, change the wording. And if I turn off enable editing again, you'll see now it's just going to end at what was the profit for the year, but it just calls it total comprehensive income. The reason for these clicks and buttons is because the same wording here pulls through to the statement of changes in equity. Okay, let's just, sorry, I need to just fix this and then it will, that wording pulls through to equity. I'll show you in a bit. Okay, but you can see that it's blued out now for this view. I don't have time to show you the two-statement approach, but you can just click on two statements, and what it'll do is it'll throw your statement comprehensive income onto the next page. Okay. What I also want to show you here, I think that was the most important thing there. It is possible. So currently we haven't yet put our tax journal in. Let's say you want this line to show always, even if it's a zero balance. So in most cases, except for the one that I just did, the one for other comprehensive income, this is because of the pull through to the statement of changes in equity. But normally, if you want a line to print, even if zero, you can right click on it and go to properties. And so I'm going to say I want the taxation line to print anyway. And then you'll see show line, even if zero balance. And then you're going to click on that, and then you'll get the line will print anyway. Okay, your taxation or whatever it is. Cool. Then let's go to the statement of changes in equity. Okay, so this is the line that I was looking for. You see it shows you total comprehensive income loss for the year. So it pulls through that wording. If you had opted for profit or loss, it would have used that wording. Right. What I want to show you about the statement of changes in equity, you can see it's quite busy. There's lots of columns, all your reserve types. it's a bit difficult to see, and it can be a bit difficult to see and work with if you've got all the columns on. So I'll show you how to turn them off. I just want to also show you how the statement of equity works. Is we don't have, in our trial balance, you don't have the equity movements per se. For example, if you've got a share capital movement, say you've issued shares, you're just going to credit the share capital account and debit bank. You don't have a movement account for the year. So the way that the equity works is if I scroll down to the end, well, you'll see the balances are showing. And right to the very end, there's the balances show. So it brings in the ending balance. And then if there were movements in the year, you would type them in the yellow blocks. This is not true of your comprehensive income and your profits that pull through to the accumulated profit or loss column, because that number it'll get from the income statement. If you've put dividends in, the dividends will automate. So whatever can pull through from mapping does, but most of your movements are, you have to explain the movement, almost like show the reconciliation. So I'll just show you, let's say it was an issue of shares in share capital. There wasn't, so it's going to throw out a balance. But I want to show you, it's going to give you an undefined difference. And the undefined difference will print, and it's doing that on purpose to say there's something wrong, you need to fix it. So initially, if I did have a movement in share capital and I never put my 1,000 in, then it would have actually showed the difference, and then I would have put the difference in, typed in the issue, and it would have cleared. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that so that it clears the difference. Now, what I want you to do is to hide the columns that you're not using to make it easier. So this is a settings and format in, again, stand on your cog, and now see an option, hide blank columns in statement of changes in equity. So it's just a nice, easy way to not have to go right click, always hide, always hide, always hide. And especially then, what do you do if an amount now does come through it? If you do have an account in a reserve and now you've got to go and switch that line back on. So you can just in one click hide blank columns, press OK. And then you've got a condensed statement of changes in equity, much easier to work with. And then you just get this little yellow triangle that just tells you that the statement of changes in equity has the hidden columns are, or the unused columns are hidden. Okay, that statement of changes in equity. All right, let's just take a 7-minute break until 11 quickly, and then we'll convene from here at 10 minutes past 11. Okay, let's continue. I hope that you enjoyed your break, and let's go ahead now. Go with me to the accounting policies. So you're going to go to and accounting policies. I'm coming back to the cash flow briefly. I just wanted to mention if there's something that I don't cover, the e-learning has got much more detail than what I'm going through here. So you can go work through the e-learning videos as well. And I'll also, we will wrap up a few things that we miss next week at the end of the XBRL and consolidation section as well. Okay, but let's go through this and see what we can do in the next 50 minutes. So we're going to look now at our accounting policies section. And all I want you to do here in our basis of preparation at the second drop down, go ahead and choose your basis of preparation. So it's just to get you familiar with drop downs. I'm choosing the historical cost basis. Okay. And then again, you can use your radio buttons. You're going to work through them. You're going to switch on and off the specific sections that are appropriate to your entity. Then go to the property plant. Sorry, now it's property and equipment. Do you see how that name change pulled through all of it from the change we made on the balance sheet? So you're going to work through your accounting policy. Please don't just leave it on and as it is. Go and read through it and amend what needs to be amended. I have showed you how to add paragraphs in here with the shift enter if you're going to, but remembering that if you shift enter, remember this one, shift enter, and you carry on typing, that it's going to keep the property of the paragraph before it. So if you switch that on, then your new paragraph will also be on. So just bear that in mind. Okay, what I want you to do here, let's go, and then you can choose your cost model only or your cost and revaluation, or bring your revaluation accounting policies in. Let's keep it at cost. And let's go down to our useful lives table. And let's say I want you to depreciate buildings at 50 years. So you could type, now look, it's blue, the row. If I type in the 50, you can either type in 50 years, and you'll do that everywhere, or you can just put in the 50. See, it went black. And then even in your average useful life, you could, if you wanted to, you could say years, so that you don't have to type years every time here. So then you're going to go down, let's pick another one. It's really not that important. It's principal, 15 years on plant and machinery. And so you'll go on and just create your useful life. Let's say IT equipment, let's say 5. So I accidentally turned on office equipment, sorry. Let's say office equipment, let's go with 12. And you're going to go through the process like that. You might say to yourself, oh, you know what? The depreciation method, I don't want to see every time. So remember I told you in tables, you can right click, and then in columns, you would have the hide always or show always. But in this case, I'm standing here on the heading and I'm right click and I'm not seeing a columns option. And that's because of the nature of the table. And so sometimes based on the build, it has to work differently. So what we've done is if ever you see a little checkbox on top, it's going to be to turn on or off permanently. So I can always just click the box, and then depreciation method will always hide. Then you just need to say the useful lives have been assessed as follows, and then you would say something like on the straight line basis. You would type that in because now you're hiding it per section, okay? So just you would have turned off the depreciation column, and then we've got our next up, our intangible assets. You can go ahead and make the intangible assets, let's give it a 30-year for trademarks. And then remember, you can change the trademarks. This is a yellow cell, so you can just write over it. And I'm going to write it from the white bar and just change that to trademarks or whatever you want to, because it's just trademarks. And of course, it's going to give me my override indicator. And you can put in the other lines that you want to. I'm not going to do that now because we have already learned that point. What I would like you to try yourselves, carefully to follow the method I said, is change the order, bring the tangible assets accounting policy above the property, plant, and equipment accounting policy. So remember, you're going to go to the top of the page. You can do go to, where's the page? Accounting policies. And that's where you want to do it. So what are you going to do? Just try it quickly for yourselves. Give you a moment. So you should have tried to right-click on accounting policies. By now you should have found sort sections. And you would have gone to find intangible assets. And then hopefully you've moved that up. Click OK. And then your intangible assets accounting policy and your property and equipment are the same order as in the balance sheet or statement of financial position. Okay. Now I want to just show you about purging. Remember, when we refer to purge, we mean take it out of the financial statements. So do me a favor and go find the employee benefits accounting policy. Use the this go-to feature, the bookmark. So here on our toolbar, on our ribbon, the little go-to with the blue arrow, or you can press F5. And it brings up this option. And you're wanting to find, what did I say, employee benefits. So go and type in employee benefits. And then there's a few options. You click on what you think it will be. And yes, it looks like we are in the accounting policies. There is the employee benefits. Now, you can see it's got its content. So one thing you could do is right-click on, and now it's hidden. But the content is still in the background, okay? So the only way to get rid of content is through Optimize. So while you can stand on a note, and if you right-click on and it's not in the file, it will bring it into the file without Optimizer. So you can bypass Optimizer to bring notes into the file, but that's one at a time. So if you want to bring in more than one at a time, you'll use Optimizer. But the only way you can remove it from the file is through Optimizer. So we're going to get rid of employee benefits. So call up your Optimize. It's an accounting policy. So you would expect to see it here in the accounting policies in file section. But because it's closed, the software has assumed that you want to get rid of it. So it's made it an option. So if you go to the accounting policies not in file section, just go look for it. You'll see it stands there with the red X. So remember that I said to you that if it stands with the X, it means it is in the file, but we recommend removing it, but we want to remove it. So if you just click it once, it's going to throw it back to the in file where it is, but still it offers a red X to say, I think you should get rid of it. We've noticed that it's closed. You probably don't need it. So if you do want to purge it, click it again so that it moves to the left, and then go ahead and say next. Then it tells you this is going to be removed from the file. Click OK. And now all that you have is a placeholder. So in the background, behind employee benefits, there's actually no more content anymore. Okay. And that's how you're going to get rid of when you clean up your file at the end. You'll use Optimize. It'll give you all the suggestions with the red crosses that it suggests you purge, that you get rid of, just to make your file size smaller. Okay. Right. Let's hurry up. Sorry, I tend to be a bit long-winded. Let's go to the notes to the financial statements, and I'll go to notes. And in the intangible assets note, we're not going to do this part right now. I wanted you to change, to remove the word other from the computer software. And what I wanted you to do was what we did in property, plant, and equipment with land, is where you'll go to your mapping database or to your assigned mappings and change the word computer software to a computer software other just to computer software, so it brings it through. So you can practice that later in your own time. I don't want to rehash it. What I do want us to do is to quickly complete these reconciliation tables for intangible assets and for property, plant, and equipment. The reason being, this is an example of the kind of data that pulls through to the cash flow worksheet. So cash flow worksheet goes and looks for all non-cash movements in GL accounts, things like depreciation, fair value movements, and so on. But it also looks into other tables for non-cash movements. So a transfer is an example of such. So you need to complete all your tables and then go look at your cash flow for the non-cash items to pull through. So remember, we already clicked on in our button, in our robot, we already clicked on refresh to pull everything through to the cash flow. It looks like it's finished. but more is going to happen in the cash flow because of movements in our recons. So in the notes in your handouts, there's a reconciliations handout. So go to that, open it up, or you can just follow on mine. Sorry, it's opened on the other screen. I want to bring that across. And we're in intangible assets. So I'm going to the tab IA, and I just want to show it, put it on the side. So I press my window key right arrow to show my my Excel on the side. Now we're going to go and complete this table. So remember, so the red difference is just saying we've got an opening balance, which we got from mapping. We've got a closing balance we've got from mapping. You need to type in the movement. And if you put the movement incorrectly, the difference will go away. Okay, so our current year, I'm just going to do the current years because we need that for the cash flow. So our current year table shows us for trademarks and for software, you see both movements were depreciation, which is amortization actually. So the accountant gave us the wrong table, but let's put it in the amortization. Correct order, so use a minus to show depreciation. So minus 72, remember it's by thousands, and the difference goes away. And then go ahead and type minus 17 in the software. Okay, so that's all I wanted you to do in intangible assets. Then in property, plant, and equipment, scroll down to it, or you can do a go-to, or from your balance sheet, you can jump to the note. So we've got our summary table, which shows us our cost, accumulated depreciation, and carrying amount per year. And then we've got our reconciliation movement tables for the current and the prior year. If you don't want it for the prior year, SME sometimes allows you to exclude it, then you can just collapse the prior year table. Okay. And then there's various other information which you would work through in your note. So let's go and just quickly do the current year's table. I'm going to bring up that Excel again on the PE tab. Only the current year movement. So the first thing I'm seeing is for furniture and fixtures. So I'm going to go stand there. Let's just window left and tell it that I want to see both. So for furniture and fixtures, I'm seeing a depreciation of 194. So you can just press enter all your way to depreciation and minus 194, and that clears out. The next one is office equipment, which was an addition of 62. Okay, so you're going to put plus 62 in additions, and then enter to 39 in depreciation, minus 39. IT equipment. Let's see our movement for IT equipment. There was additions of 6, which was 6,000. And my depreciation I'm seeing at 56. Okay, so you see I'm starting to just clear every imbalance. Minus 56. Remember to put a minus when it's going out. And what was next? So then we've got this property, plant, and equipment 1. That doesn't make sense. Oh, it's motor vehicles. All right, guys, so this is in the wrong place. Quickly go with me. And I want you, now we need to fix this. So we can't move it up. How do we get it to motor vehicles? Quickly in the chat, what do you think we need to do to move property, plant, and equipment 1 into motor vehicles? Assign mappings, yes. So we've mapped it wrong. So we're going to go through our process account, assign mappings. So you might find as you go through the process, you'll go, oh goodness, I've mapped it to the wrong place. And then you just go and fix it. Balance sheet, assets, non-current assets, property, plant, and equipment. And you're going to say, okay, there it is. You shouldn't be here. So you're going to open the mapping. You're going to drill down to where it's been mapped. Double click to take it out. And remember, there's also an accumulated depreciation there. So open up the accumulated depreciation. Go find where you've mapped it down to the lowest level. Unmap. And then you're just going to go and map it correctly. So my first one is at cost. Be careful to map the right one. Go to my property, plant, and equipment at cost. And go to motor vehicles. Opening balance. And then in my accumulated depreciation, motor vehicles, and you can just put it to opening balance. Click apply. So I hope you're managing to keep track with me. And okay. If you don't do this part, don't worry about it. I just wanted to show you. So now it's in the motor vehicle section. Right, I'm going to just split my screen again, window key left arrow to show that half, and then I want the Excel sheet. And my motor vehicles tells me there was transfers, remember that now, transfers of minus 1929. Okay, that went out from there, and depreciation of minus 233. Okay, that's all I need to know for this. So my reconciliation balances, you can go ahead later and balance your prior year as well. Okay, I just want to go back to my sheet. So that's basically our property, plants, and equipment. Next, I want to go to loans to from group companies. So let's click F5 with me. No, sorry, I'm in the wrong document. So in my caseware, press F5. And then I want loans to or from. So just start with typing LO. There it is. Loans to from group companies. Click OK. And it takes me to my loan. So I've got here this one group loan. It says group company ID. So give this guy a name and change this name to JJMS Limited. Change it to whatever you want it to be. Okay. So it's white. So you're going to try to type on it. It doesn't work. So you're going to stand on the name. Right click and properties holding. So it's one of our holding companies is JJMS. Okay. And you'll just give the loan whatever its name is. Right. And then your terms and conditions, you'll just type in here. You'll just say, for example, the loan is interest free. You don't have to do this. You could have left it with nothing. And then you could have at the bottom put the terms and conditions if you wanted to. Your current and non-current amount are going to pull through to the same line. And then at the end of the note, you're going to notice a split. So whenever we do have a current, non-current split, it splits out in the bottom. Okay, so everything is a non-current liability. The current portion you see is a different account. Okay, but what I want to tell you is that we need to split part of this loan amount, the 135 million, remember 10,000s, I want part of that to be current. So we're going to do a journal entry for this quickly. So we haven't done journals, so I want to quickly do one with you. So you're going to go and click on go to and journal entries. Right, you could have also gone to document manager journal entries, so go to journal entries. You can watch the journal entries video for me. But we're going to create a new entry. So you're going to click new. Keep that at monthly. We're going to do the prior year first. So go ahead and change the date. Click on the date. On February 2026, click on that and click on it again to access 2025. And then you're going to go to February 2025 and the 28th. So now it shows prior year one. We are not doing an adjusting. So the type of journal entry, you've got all your types here. This is a reclassify because we want to take the non-current, we want to take the current portion to non-current. And then you can put a description in here and you can say, for example, short-term portion. That's fine. Let us then go. Our account number is 5800. I'm just going to give it to you, /000. And you can press enter. And if the account exists, it's going to just give you the account. We're going to, this is the prior year amount. We're going to, this is our debit of 4 million. So you're going to put in 4 million. The full amount, you're not going to round this to thousands. The system will round it to thousands. You can press enter and it's going to ask you for the other account. So the other account number is called 5800ST, capital S, capital T. You're going to press enter and it's going to say, oh, this doesn't exist. So when you're creating a new account, so we just want it to be short-term portion. It's just for our reclassification. We're going to create our own account. Say yes. And that's the account number. So the name will be, for example, short-term portion of loan. Okay. I hope you've been following me. If I'm going too fast, then just watch this part. Okay. And We're not going to go out of here yet. We're going to click new because we want to do, well, you can press enter if you want to see what happened. You want to go new for a new account, a new entry. Now we're going to do the current year. Okay, it's already on the current year. Type. It's reclassifying. Again, description again is short term portion. Again, our account number. So now we're doing the current year version 5800. And it's the current year amount. And this amount is 3.5 million. So it's 3,500,000. Okay. And now we're going to again, it was 5800 ST. And now it brings it in. And you see how it automatically balances the account for you. Right, we're happy with that. Then we can just, if you want to recalculate and close, it should automatically save it in the background. So your full line item is both the current and non-current portion. Oh, but now what's happening? Why hasn't it done the split for me? Okay. Did you notice the red triangle? Okay. What have I done? Unmapped account. Thank you for that. So if I go to my robot, do you see now it warns me that there's an unmapped account because I created the short-term account, but I haven't mapped it. So I can actually click this little triangle. It's going to take me to my mapping screen quickly. How cool is that? And now we're going to go and map this account. So we're going to go to our balance sheet. So I know it's a liability, right? So I'm going to go liabilities. I know it's my current portion, and I know it's my group loan, and I know it's a loan from holding company. And I'm like, oh yes. Remember, it said refer to asset section, right? So remember that. So I'm going to say, okay, current liabilities is the wrong place. I'm going to go to my assets, to my current assets, to my loans from group companies, to my holding company loan, to my group company one. Remember, I told you there was already something else mapped. Now I'm going to click that in. Remember to apply. And now we're back in balance. This is good. We can turn our little robot off. Our little warning sign is gone. And now we see the current non-current split. So that is our loans to group companies. Great. I want to show you now a couple of things we might roll over into and steal half an hour from next week's session. But I'd like to do this still properly. Please go with me to the inventories note. Go ahead and do a search. I'm just going to use my go-to INV inventories. I don't want to go to the accounting policy. I want to go to the note. So click on that and I go to the inventories note. In this note, we've got our table listing our inventory types. You can change the names of whatever it is the normal way. Right-click properties and change the name. That's not what I want to show you. In here, do you see the little sections? We've got inventory pledged as security, inventory written down, agricultural produce. So these are all sections within the note. But I want to say to you, I don't want to use any of those. I'm going to close them all. I want us to create our own little subsection. So at the end of the note, do you see agricultural produce at point of harvest is the end of our note? If I stand here and I continue to add and build the note, it's going to put it inside of agricultural produce. I don't want to do that. I want a new section like agricultural produce. So I'm going to stand on the inventories heading. And I'm going to now build a section out. I'm going to build from top down. So in other words, I'm going to start at the heading, and then I'm going to add the flow. So stand on the heading inventories, go to your right, your little green plus, your super insert. Click that on. This is important to do, right? So stand on the inventories heading, click the plus, and now we're going to say, okay, go to new note or policy because we want to create a subheading. Go to subheading and click on the subheading. Okay. And then it's going to say top or bottom. No, we want it at the bottom of the note. Otherwise, it's going to put it on top of the note, outside the note. Click OK, and it's going to give us a new subsection under agricultural produce. Give it a moment. It's ready. And you see there, now I've got my subheading after and not part of agricultural produce. Stand in the subheading and I want to call it inventory split. So I'm going to stand in the heading and just type the new name. I'm calling it inventory split. You can do that with me. Cool. Now what we're going to do is I do want the rest of the note that I'm creating to be part of inventory split. So I'm not going to go to the main inventories heading to create it, because else it's going to come in underneath inventory split. So I'm going to stand on my new heading, on my new subsection, and I want a little paragraph here because I want to write a little sentence. So now I'm going to say, so I'm building in order of what I want to see. Go again, click on the plus. I want a little paragraph. So you can go click on paragraph, click on text, and go below because I want it inside of inventory split. There it is. Let me just show you that it's in the right place. If I click the little arrow to close inventory split, you see it went away. So I'm going to click it open to put it here. And in there, I just want to type in this sentence. The closing inventory is represented as follows. I suppose I could have just copied it. Right. And now, of course, I want to see the text. So what am I going to do? Right click on, and now I see my text. So I can stand on inventory split again. So I stand on my heading, the heading that I wanted to all be part of again. And now I want to insert a table. So I'm going to go back to super insert, the plus, and now I'm going to click on a table, and I want it at the bottom. So you see I'm building from the top down. It gives me some table options. You can look at this in your own time. Just trust me, I want the 1 to 4 column with total. So select that button. And there's a bit of work that it has to do in the background to write this in. So this takes a moment. Gives you a preview of what you're going to get. Click for me on OK. It's very important that you stand on the right places to do these imports. Okay, so I stood on the heading of the section I wanted to be part of. So if I've done it right, then when I collapse inventory split, my paragraph and table should disappear. And if I open it, they should reappear. So what do I want you to do here? I don't want the heading of the table because I've got inventory split as my heading. So I can just stand in here and literally just delete the heading. So you're going to do that with me. Then we're going to format before we start formatting our tables, I want another row here because I want 2 rows. So you're going to stand in your table, and either you can do right click row and insert row, or you can continue with a super insert. And now table rows is an option, table row. And it gives you the possibilities. For this type of table, I can only put in a heading or an input row. So an input row is fine. I want 1. So there you'll choose how many rows. Above or below, in this case, it doesn't matter, but let's just say bring me 1 below. And OK, and I'm going to have 2 rows. Okay, I'm going to label my rows. The first one I'm going to call local. So it's my local inventory, and then my inventory tree for imports I'm going to show here. Cool. Now my first 2 headings my first 2 columns, I want to be numeric in nature. So in other words, I'm going to assign column formatting. So stand on your column, right click, go to column, go to format column type, and go to numeric. Okay, and then the column heading for this, stand in column heading 2026. And the next one is also numeric. So I want you to, on your own, try to make the next column numeric as well. So column, format, column type, numeric, and that is going to be 2025. So those are going to be numbers. Now I want percentage cells. So for the next 2 columns, do the same process, but make them percentage. So column, format column type, percentage. And then you're going to choose how many decimals. I want 0. You can pick what you want. See, it shows you the 0. The next one, also right-click column, format column type, percentage as well, and 2 decimals. I want no decimals. Happy. This column is, the first column is called 2026%, and my second column is called 2025%. Oh, maybe a space percent. Great. Everything is blue because there's nothing yet in the columns. So I'm going to start, you can put in any amounts, but otherwise you can just copy me. 42,185 was the amount for 2026 local. And suddenly the row turns on, it turns black, and it's 37,620. The amounts don't matter. I just want to show you, you then populate your percentages. It's not important what they are right now, it's just the point. And then you'll see that my total is blue because it doesn't print the total if there's only one line. But if I have an amount in my second line, then the total prints. Okay. I now just want to see that my table looks pretty. And I've included a whole section of note. I don't want the total column, so I'm going to click the little tick and it turns off. If I go and I do a print preview, we can go and look at the inventory note and we can see we created this note completely by ourselves. That's the main note. And there we've completely created this section ourselves. Okay, that was very cool. So super insert is a really nice feature to use. The related parties note is the next one. I've got a few cool things to show you there. Again, F5, RE to find related parties. Turn it on for me. I don't think we're going to get to this balancing the statement of cash flows this week. I need about 20 minutes to do that. I know there were questions, but please go and watch the link that Ninka posted on the statement of cash flows. There's much more information. It's a much better watch than what I'm going to cover here. It's just too complicated. Statement of cash flows can keep you busy for ages. So please watch the video. I think it's about 15 or 16 minutes in the e-learning. But let's just try to get through the other things so that we only have the cash flow possibly and the printing to roll over to next week. Okay, so in related parties, you see we've got our related party relationship, our holding company, and the name of our holding company there. What I want you to do is switch on the section for transactions and balances with entities with control, joint control, or significant influence. You're just going to click it open. And I want you to go to related party balances. We're going to work in there. Okay. Now here's the really fun part. We've got all these various tables. So our first type of transaction or balance is our loan accounts to or from related parties. And we know we had that holding company loan. Sorry, my holding company loan name was wrong. When we made it JJMC, it should have been Holdco. Okay. That's just semantics. We're trying to just learn about how to populate this thing. But yes, I am aware if any of you picked up, but wait, you had a holding company loan and it wasn't called the same thing. Okay, that's not the point. So now what I want you to do is what you would normally do is you would come here and you could type in the holding company name and then you could type in the amount. Or you could use a cool trick. Let's say your related party balance has a specific either mapping number or a specific account number. What if you could connect it directly to the account or to the mapping? So that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to link to account because we know account 5800 is that specific company loan. So let's stand in our table, go to your super insert and table rows. You could have also right-click table rows. So we're going to say table rows. And now this type of table allows a lot more options with regards to the inserting rows. We want to link to account. So take the link to account option. And I want to include 2 rows. And I want it above. So it's currently standing on ABC. I want it above ABC. Click OK. And so what did I do? I went super insert. Sorry, it actually landed up coming below. I think I clicked wrong. Table rows. And I clicked on link to account. I chose 2. And then I positioned it. I must have selected below by accident. That was the process for those who are trying to follow. Now you're going to go ahead and actually do the link. So go and stand in here. You can either go and search for the accounts, or you can go 5800. Did I now not choose account? There we go. So you type in your account number, and then it brings the holding company loan, and you can just change that wording to what you want it to be, okay, in properties. But every time if there's a journal entry changing the amount, at least it pulls through without you manually adjusting. So the other one was 5800 ST, and then the short-term portion also comes through, right? You can see because there's multiple tables, the table totals are turned off. If you want to show the table total, you'll just stand in the table, right-click, Properties, and there it says Display Options for Table Totals. You'll go Show, and OK, and it'll give you the total. So again, right-click in the table, Properties, Display Options for Table Totals, Show, and then it shows it. Right. The blue lines don't print, but let's just say you want to get rid of it. You could, like, let's stand on ABC. If I want to get rid of it, I can right-click Row, delete row, or I could just use the delete line feature here on the toolbar, and it will delete it. Be careful that you don't delete your new rows. I just want to quickly, I forgot to show you something. I'm going back to the inventory. I'm just going this way around to my current assets. I'm going back to the inventories notes where we created our own text. Well, let's say I didn't want this paragraph here. What I can do is, if I've made a mistake, or even if I don't want the table, I'm just going to show you the process, but I'm not going to get rid of it. If I stand in the table or the section, the paragraph, and I right-click, and I go to Section, and then it says Delete Table or Section, and I click Delete Table, it will get rid of my table that I brought in. Okay, so that was that. I'm going to jump past the statement of cash flows at this point. I just would like to mention on that, the comparative numbers, you have to, only for the first year, remember, you type in the comparatives because there's no cash flow worksheet for the prior year. But in the second year, you roll your file forward. All of the 2026 numbers will pull through automatically into this column, which will become the comparative next year. And then the 2027 of next year will then work from next year's worksheet to populate the worksheet. Okay, but this we're going to stand over to next week. Currently, we are, we're going to, if I refresh, I'm going to go out of balance. I'm not going to refresh yet. We're going to go out of balance because remember in our reconciliation of property, plants, and equipment, we had non-cash amounts. There was a transfer. That's going to throw us out. Okay, but I'm going to show you that next time. I'm just going to jump to the detailed income statement quickly. So our detailed income statement, all I want to show you here is this is your income statement, but literally with all the details. You can close like cost of sales. Let's say you don't want to show the details, so you can just collapse and just show that section. We've got other income expenses because there's quite a lot of line items. The expenses section has a refer to the next page. And then you see if you go down at the end of the detailed income statement, there's a page break. And then you've got your operating expenses separately. And we've also got them in brackets. So let's say you want to show the operating expenses in the detailed income statement here, and you don't want the expenses in brackets. Then you can go to your settings and format for the detailed income statement and go to print expenses on a separate page. Say, no, I don't want to. So uncheck it. And then you've got show operating expenses without brackets. So you can say, no, I want them I want them without brackets. Press OK, and it will move the expenses without brackets into the detailed income statement. Okay, so there you can see it moved in and the brackets are gone. Right. I'm trying to decide in the 10 minutes we've got left. Let me quickly show you the print profile so that we don't have to hijack too much next week. I think 10 minutes is enough for that. So with regards to printing, if you go to options, print profiles, then here, this is just, you'll click this to say, do you want to do an internal review print, an external draft, or your final version? And then you'll click it on here to, so for example, if I click final here, it should print the final without the watermarks. It can be a little bit finicky in terms of just writing in the background. So what so it works probably better, is if you go Document and you actually configure. So you go to where you set up the configuration of your printing and actually choose your profile here. It's probably the best bet, just in terms of it pulling through all your requirements. So click, so it's Document, Configuration, Printing. In here, you're going to tell it how you want your options to be. So remember, in options, I chose the external final. So in print options, it also went there. But let's just walk through them. So the internal review has got a watermark, which you can turn off if you don't want the watermark, but we want it on. And you can change that. You can say, for internal review, I want it to actually say internal draft. Okay. And you can say 45 is a bit dark. That's the intensity of the watermark. Let's just make it 10. And the size, how big you want to make it. I want it very big. And then it'll tell you, okay, the internal review will print annotations, it will print note references, and it'll print the current date and time. You can turn these things off if you don't want them. So now it's set to internal review, hopefully. Then if you go and do your print, if you want to now go and print it, it's on internal review. You're going to go File, and you're going to go Print. And let's say print to PDF. And then you're going to say, warning, it's going to print annotations. Yes, that's what I in any case want because it is an internal draft. And then it gives you one more chance to uncheck your annotations. It gives you a chance to print override dots. If you want to print them, you can click that on. And then you would say, yes, print the document, and you'll say, okay. And then it's going to ask you, where do you want it to go to? And the name, so I'm going to just actually call mine Financial Statements Draft 1. And I'm going to choose my path, and I want it to be, I'm going to browse, sorry. I want it in, this is where I want it, and I'm going to press Save and OK. Right, and then if I go, there's my Financial Statement Draft 1. And it's given me the internal draft watermark, and it's changed it as I wanted, and it's made it nice and light. And you can go ahead and you can see how they look. Then you might say, okay, thanks, that's pretty cool. I want to now print my final version. So I would then go to Document, Configuration, Printing. And now I'm going to say, okay, I want my external final. There's no watermark. I do want note references. I don't want annotations. Obviously, I don't want the client to see that. I don't want it to be printed that way. And I go ahead and I click OK. And let it think through it. So you notice it actually removed all the annotations here. Now I'm going to say File, Print, and I'm going to go PDF again. And it should ignore these because it is on the final one. I think it does ignore it, so it's good. If it didn't ignore it, then you can just uncheck those boxes if it didn't give you the desired outcome. But now I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to save this as final, and I should still be in that session 3, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Right, and then if I go and I take a look and I find my final financial statements, and it's now printed it without the watermark, and it's given you your final version. And you'll also see that it didn't print. Remember, we switched on the date and time stamp. So it didn't print it here because in my configuration, I said on final, I don't want the date and time. And it should have it on my final draft 1 unless I turn that feature off at a point. No, there it still is. So in my draft, I still have my date and time stamp. Okay, so that is everything except the cash flow statement. So I just want to be able to, Ninka wants 2 minutes to talk to you. So I'm going to hand over to her in a second. So I'm going to hijack 20 odd minutes from next week's session for cash flow after Ninka's done. But aside from that, we have covered everything. Just want to share before I hand over to Ninka. The next session, yes, will be the consolidations in XBRL, same time and place. And Ninka, please feel free to jump in here for us.
Thank you, Angela, for the session and the previous sessions, and thank you also everybody for joining. What I want to ask is if you want to participate in next week's session, therefore go practically like we did with Angela now in these sessions for consolidations, you must please make sure that your consolidation code is activated on your PC. So you don't need to install a new template or anything like that. It is just an activation code. It might be that your firm does not buy consoles because they don't do it. And then you're welcome to join the session and just view it as well. But if you want to participate and do the session with me, then you will need that code. So please make sure that you get that before the session. It's just going to help you to take part in it and not have to run around then for it. And then, as Anne just mentioned, we will in next week then cover the console, and we will also cover the tax computation. There's quite a few questions that we had coming from support on that, so we thought we'll also just cover that with consolidations and XBRL in next week's session. And that's it from me. Ange, anything from your side, or can we end the session?
All good. I think we can end the session. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around with us. It's been fun. Till next week. Bye.